Ah, the curse of the white blank page. Staring out at you, you staring at it, brain equally blank. You tell yourself this has to be the best thing you have ever drawn. No, you can't mess this up. 4 hours later, you still have a blank page and have tunneled so deep down the internet rabbit hole, you're contemplating learning to play theremin. This happens when making art, and it happens to me when setting goals. Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Unkempt Snugglepepper, a neurodivergent artist, and we're going to talk about the blocks that happen when setting and fulfilling goals. And playing here is the sped up version of me sketching out my characters for my webcomic Fortune's Fancy. It's about a sad gay wizard, his apprentice, and a handsome fortune teller overcoming a lot of mental health challenges. This is the second video of me working on this section. The first part you can check out here. In that video, I talk about my brother who has untreated bipolar disorder. A few housekeeping notes. Number 1, I am not a qualified mental health professional. I cannot diagnose. This is based on my personal experience and what I have personally found helpful. Number 2, I am using the term neurodivergent in a broad sense that includes mental health issues, as I have bipolar with anxious tendencies and borderline personality disorder. And then last, I'm going to refer to my hypomania as just mania. With that out of the way, let's jump into it. Goal-oriented activity sounds great. And in the moment of being manic, it is. Suddenly, I have dreams and goals, and in a mad dash, I hyper-focus and obsess over what my next career will be. It feels right. Like everything in my life has led to this single moment where I decide to be a therapist, artist, photographer, music therapist. The list gets quite extensive, but all of those things require time, years to achieve, and hypomanic spurts only last a few days to a few weeks. Because this is hypomania, the goals are a little less extreme. It makes sense when I look at art-related jobs like picking up photography or graphic design. I have a degree in music and a lot of education and psychology classes, so it makes sense to be a music therapist. However, I have a long pattern of changing career goals and jobs rather frequently. This is where mania gets to be an issue. I change my mind too easily, and yesterday's hyperfixation becomes tomorrow's abandoned project. It then creates a fear that any goal I set will be left in the dust as new goals emerge. Within dialectical behavior theory, or DBT, there's a skill called opposite action to the emotion. For example, if you were to be angry, your first instinct is to yell and raise your voice. However, an opposite reaction would be, even though you're angry, to lower your voice both in volume and pitch. My emotions tell me to obsess over a new career, so I limit the time I take looking things up. This helps keep the mania manageable as opposed to giving in to the impulse and hyperfixation. When my emotions tell me not to tell my family about enrolling in college again, I end up telling them. Even when impulsivity says to do something right now, I try and wait. Without mania to fuel my obsession, getting any sort of goal becomes difficult. Anxiety, paired with the need for perfection, sometimes paralyzes me in place. I spend days staring at a blank Notion document trying to think of a new goal. If I want to be a professional artist, then I should have some direction, right? But somewhere between Notion and my bullet journal, that's where all my goals seem to go to die. If I put the goal down and don't achieve it, I feel bad. In part because I have failed, but in part because I fell for mania's siren song once again. Perhaps I do get a goal down. For example, get 50 subscribers. Sounds reasonable. I just need to make more videos. Then I stare at a blank page of outlines trying to think of the best video I can possibly make. I'll have an idea, and as soon as the main topic passes through, anxiety shoots it down like it was flying over Area 51. All right, maybe that wasn't a great idea, but we could. Nope. What about nope? You see where this is going. Staring at a white piece of paper, unable to draw a line or write a sentence, knowing that if you could just get started, creativity would follow. For the kind of anxiety before a project starts, I try to change the narrative. Rather than trying to put down what I should do and what the outcome should be, I try to rephrase it. So my goal mentioned before of getting 50 subscribers is changed into, I would like 50 subscribers. Somehow that change in phrasing makes it a little softer, especially since likes, subs, and views are a little bit out of my control. That brings me to the next issue I get with anxiety, and that's when what I have isn't perfect. I record and re-record, and then forget what I have said and have not said. I continue to erase until the paper falls apart. When I was in elementary school, my art teacher would not give us erasers. She said that we had to accept the mistakes and move on with the piece. Otherwise, we try too hard for it to be perfect. This is another thought process change. Rather than saying, I want to get better at recording voiceover, drawing faces, or line art, I set learning objectives. For this video, I'm trying to find out if I want a fully written out script compared to bullet points. For this video, I'm trying out if I want a fully written out script compared to bullet points. I find the time it takes to type will eliminate the need to constantly record and re-record things. Since art and making videos is a skill, repetition matters more than making the most perfect video possible. Now, depression is a beast that tends to follow anxiety. When one is high, the other is right behind. This combination often has me stuck, trying to get something done, but instead wasting hours not staying on topic. Lack of interest in things that usually bring me joy is one of my first warning signs that a depressed episode is starting. One thing which helps in setting out art goals is to factor in that at some point I will be too depressed to work on the goal. Lately, this is why I haven't been putting time limits on my goals. However, it is a slippery slope. As depression gets worse, the more I isolate or avoid activities. Like anxiety, sometimes breaking the barrier to just getting started can help me continue towards a goal and move out of a depressed funk. This is by no means an easy task. Sometimes I'll go through the motion for quite some time before I feel like myself again. I have found similar to anxiety, opposite action is quite effective. I want to go lay down and sleep all day, but I know I'll feel better if I get up, take a shower, and make breakfast. Perhaps the overcritical voice in my head is laughing like the hecklers on the Muppets. Rather than giving up and turning away, I still draw or paint, pushing through. I like to look at things that if they don't turn out the way I imagined, as being learning experiences. As Thomas Edison said, he hadn't failed 1,000 times, just found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. A couple years ago, I stumbled on executive dysfunction. Finally, there is a name for the cluster of symptoms that involve cognitive flexibility, working memory, and self-control. This results in things like time blindness, where a person frequently loses track of time, and an inability to string tasks together, like planning out art goals for the year. Finding out that other people experience this really helped me to feel valid in my own struggles. The narrative seems to go along with these issues is that a person is lazy or needs to try harder to be more organized, which is what I thought about myself, that I had become lazy. But it ignores the internal struggle of the want to get things done but being stuck in place. I won't say I've cracked the code for how to deal with this. It's something that's been building over time, and I think through a lot of school I found ways to work around it. However, in the past few years, it has become more noticeable. I have to write things down. So when I made art goals for the year, I used a few pieces of paper to scribble out what I wanted to accomplish and how I would accomplish it. It also helped to arrange things visually with various colors. This also applies to calendars. I prefer physical paper planners because I have the ability to see where things fall. I find myself also frequently making to-do lists on various pieces of paper and sticky notes. I hope you all found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments down below what helps keep you organized and what your art goals are. My webcomic Fortune's Fancy is linked down below as well.